Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Orlando, soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees. So fair. Today is Monday, the 20th day of February 2023, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Remember, the life you save may just be your own if you ensure that you observe the rules of the road, that you drive defensively, that you use your indicators at the proper times and indicating early rather than at the last second. Some people wait until they have stopped to turn and then they put their indicators on, all sorts of things going out there. So we urge you to please, please be careful. Observe the rules of the road. If you don't know the rules of the road, ensure that you familiarize yourself with them as well, because like I said before, the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you, and to remind you that the For the Record birthday shoutouts are proudly brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, whose advice to you is don't take chances with your family's future. Those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to express our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles, as we traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open, and this morning we have a very special show going on, so the phone lines will be open as well. We will welcome your participation. We will let you know at what juncture we will take those phone calls as well, and of course you can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at For the Record, one word, For the Record at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. You can follow us on YouTube. You do that simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. And, of course, we are on Facebook as well. So let's first get to some of the birthday greetings that we have today, and to remind you that the For the Record birthday shout-outs today, they are proudly brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, whose advice to you is don't take chances with your family's future. So we see Mr. George Borden, he's celebrating a birthday today. Mr. Lloyd Mills, who resides in Texas, celebrating a birthday today. And just for those of you who used to and maybe still shop at Uncle Bill's as well, Lloyd, several years ago, was the bicycle mechanic at Uncle Bill's. He was here, was it earlier this year or late last year, visiting as well. Avid cyclist, joined the Marines, I believe it was, in the U.S., but Lloyd was a prominent fixture here in the Cayman Islands in the cycling scene, as well as Uncle Bill. So he is celebrating his birthday today. And someone who we probably will be talking to this morning as well, and all of you know him, prominent farmer in the Cayman Islands, Mr. Willie Ebanks. Some of you know him as Willie Penny. He celebrated his birthday, 80th birthday, on Saturday as well. So we want to wish Mr. Willie Penny a belated happy birthday. So let's get to the show this morning. Want to remind you that every month we will have a segment that is not only dedicated to older persons, but will have older persons participating in the conversation, either here in the studio in person, or we will link up with them by phone as well. The Commission for Older Persons in the Cayman Islands, along with the ministry, they have organized this. And I am not going to say too much about it because we do have members here around the studio, in the studio with us this morning. And before we go to our first commercial break, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go around the table and we're going to ask each individual to introduce themselves to our listening and viewing audience. So we'll start with you, ma'am.
Thank you, Elsie. And good morning, everyone. I am Alice May Coe from West Bay and a representative for that district on the Cayman Islands Council of Older Persons. I'm also the deputy chair, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning, and I look forward to older persons. There's no such thing as getting old. In my book, it is growing up, okay? Because I've got a few birthdays behind my name too, and I'm proud to say 77. So I'm growing up, and I look forward to all of you calling in and participating, and hope you enjoy the show.
Good morning. My name is Herbert Crawford. I'm also a member of the Older Persons Council. I represent the district of Buddentown, the first capital. I am also a backyard farmer as well as a small commercial farmer. And since this morning we'll be talking about things agriculture, I'm happy to be here to participate in this forum.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Betty Banks from West Bay, and I've been asked to come on and tell about some of the older annual agricultural shows that I'm aware of. My dad was a backyard farmer, as well as he was involved in the show itself, quite a lot. So I'm hoping that some of my people from West Bay will call in and give some of their remembrances as well. That it will. We had lots of stuff going on in West Bay. Surely participated quite well. So I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me, and I hope we get a lot of participation from call-in people.
I'm sure that we're going to have a lively conversation this morning about agriculture, and it is timely because on Wednesday we will, of course, have our annual agricultural show as well, and we'll talk a little bit about that, give you a little bit about the history of the agriculture show as well. So we're looking forward to conversing with some persons in the district as well, persons like Mr. McFarlane Connolly in East End, Mr. Odman McLaughlin, Mr. Richard Borden, and Mr. Dawson Whitaker. As a matter of fact, two of those individuals I had the pleasure of seeing yesterday afternoon, as well. Also, North Side, we Miss Alex Johnson, we will be hopefully talking with her as well, and I believe she celebrated a birthday. Was it last week or week before? I remember going through the birthdays and recognizing Miss Alex, as well. Miss Zelma Lee Ebanks and her husband, Mr. Willie Ebanks, or you all know him as Mr. Willie Penny as well. And we remind you, we're going to give him a belated happy birthday shout out again. He turned 80 years old on Saturday, so belated happy birthday to him. In the BRAC, we and Little Cayman, we will be conversing with Miss Anna Rose Scott. We're also hoping that a former current minister and a former minister who had responsibility for agriculture and who is more than an avid farmer in the BRAC as well, quite a farmer, the Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly. We're hoping that she will call in. We know Mr. Elvis, he's a farmer, in the BRAC as well. And forgive me, but there's another young man that I'm always talking to about the bottlers and everything. They're all farmers up there, so we're looking forward to hearing from them as well. But before that, we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to talk, do a little bit more in terms of the introduction. When we return from the 8 o'clock news around about 8:15, then we will start to engage in those telephone conversations as well. Those persons who are unable to call us, we will try to connect with you and call you as well to remind you, and we will be reminding you of the numbers that you can call in. So, folks, what we're going to do now, take our first commercial break. When we return, we will be talking about agriculture in the Cayman Islands, sharing the history of agriculture in the Cayman Islands, as well as one of the things we want to talk about, women in agriculture. I was thinking about that, and there's some folks who used to live in the Crew Road area who, after the 1932 storm, had to move from the Red Bay Prospect area further into Crew Road, and talk about them. Three ladies that I had the pleasure of growing up around, who were all farmers as well. So, folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
In the 1770s, the British demand for cotton was in full swing, and as cotton prices rose, the British West Indies became key to the British prosperity, with the Cayman Islands seeing a short boom in the cotton industry. The peak of the cotton trade was between 1802 to 1804, with approximately 25 small ships transporting cotton between Grand Cayman and Jamaican ports. Vessels returning from Jamaica brought more slaves in return, which reflected the growing population and the growth in the plantation economics of Grand Cayman. At its peak, Cayman was producing between 40 to 60 tons of cotton per year, and in 1802 there were 545 slaves divided among 88 owner families. The cotton trade was a relatively short-lived economic boom, as the U.S., due to mass slave labor, proved to be able to produce cotton on mass scales, pushing the West Indies out of the cotton industry.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
It's all about humanity.
It will be Saturday, March 4th, the 11th annual Rotary Central Health Check, the almost island-wide Rotary Health Screening. See us at Foster's Republic's West Bay, Cost You Less at Governor Square, West Bay Road, A.L. Thompson's Georgetown, Foster's at Countryside in Savannah, Bordentown, from 10 a.m. through 2 p.m. Take advantage of a free mini-medical, a physician's check on your blood pressure, your A1C, your cholesterol, your blood sugar, your healthy weight evaluation, and more. The 11th Annual Rotary Central Health Check in conjunction with the Health Services Authority. Saturday, March 4. Save this date that could save your life. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
So much happening so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my health care instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay.
No one can stop me when I taste the feel.
Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
They say you only live once. I say you only die once, but you live every day. I'm Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, longtime supporter of Radio Cayman. Live your life, my friends. Happiness is in the journey, not the destination. When you're ready, I'm here to support you with the best financial decisions for your family's future. Cayman Insurance Center, protecting you and your family so you can take back your future. I'm Michael Webster, the sure way to protect your family. Call me when you're ready at 925-5433. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets.
Think life insurance.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. This morning we will be talking about agriculture in the Cayman Islands. We're going to be talking about the older persons who were involved in agriculture in the Cayman Islands, some still with us, some may have passed on as well. That conversation will take place with representatives from the Council of Older Persons. We have in the studio with us Miss Alice May, who's the deputy chair, and she also represents West Bay. We have Mr. Crawford, Mr. Herbert Crawford, representing Bordentown, and we have Miss Betty Ebanks, representing West Bay as well. And they all have stories to tell. And we know that you have stories out there to tell as well. We're going to give you an opportunity to do so after the 8 o'clock news. Around about 8:30, we will be opening up the phone lines. But first, we want to share some of the information that we have with you. Later on, we will be talking about the agriculture show as well that will be taking place. And my research seems to tell me that the first agriculture show to take place would have taken place in 1963, because in the Trade Winds newspaper of the, make sure I got the date on that now, Trade Winds newspaper dated the Thursday, the 18th of February, 1965. They were talking about the agriculture show to be presented on Ash Wednesday, and it started by saying the Cayman Islands Agricultural Society will be starting its third annual show and festival on Ash Wednesday, public holiday, March the 3rd, 1965. The show will be on the grounds of the Cayman High School. So that was in 1965, that being the third show that would be taking place as well. But I'm going to throw the mic back over to Miss Alice May. Miss Alice May, over to you.
Thank you, O.C. First, before I say another word, I want to apologize that Miss Lois Kellerman of the DCFS Community Development Unit was supposed to be here, but unfortunately she came down with COVID. Lois, I hope you're listening and that you're feeling much better. We miss you already, and we've just started the show.
Yes.
And O.C., we look forward to all of the wonderful information you're going to share with us, because you're research master. I tried yesterday evening to look for a few things, and it was in the Caymanian Times of the 6th of January 2020 that it was talking about the agricultural show, and it gave a little bit of history. It said in 1765, a Royal Navy officer visited Grand Cayman and noted in his logbook that the islands had wood, fish, turtle, fowl, hogs, yams, plantains and limes. In 1773, Royal Navy hydrographer George Gould reported Indian corn, yams, sweet potatoes, pumpkins, plantains, melons, limes and oranges, and most kind of the fruits and vegetables that are to be found in Jamaica. He also noted many goats, 2 horses, and no sheep. And then in the late 1700s, early 1800s, cotton had become an important agricultural export for the Cayman Islands. It's said that between 1802 and 1804, approximately 200,000 pounds of cotton were exported from Cayman, with less than a dozen cotton plantations producing 40 and as much as 60 tons of cotton annually. Most of the slaves living in Grand Cayman during the late 18th and early 19th centuries worked in these cotton plantations. And it goes on, speaks a little bit more information, but that's enough for my spot at the moment.
Okay, that is extremely interesting as well in terms of the history of agriculture. So what it demonstrates is that at one point in time, and that's why not only did passing ships stop for water, but they stopped for to replenish their as well. Exactly. So we were in abundance. I guess some people are probably sitting and saying, well, if we were at that point then, how did we reach the point where we are today, where we're trying to regenerate this whole interest in self-sufficiency in agriculture? How did we get to where we are today, and we're now trying to reverse the situation as well? That's a rhetorical question that we will leave hanging for now. We have to go to our 8 o'clock news. When we return, the conversation will continue, so folks, don't change that dial. If anything, you want to be on the dial while there are no longer any rotary phones around, I believe. But you may have your cell phones on speed dial, because at some point in time we're going to open the phone lines up this morning, and we want to hear from you about agriculture, your views on it as well. Meanwhile, those persons around the table in the person of Miss Alice May, Mr. Herbert, and Miss Betty Ebanks, they have stories and information to share with us as well. So, folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time by Foster's is 7:59.
What you got for lunch?
I'm having a red lentil penne pasta with Go Veggie dairy-free cheese.
And what's in the bag?
Fresh bellies, dried roasted red pepper snacks.
All I have are cup noodles. Where do you get all this fancy stuff?
It's all from Foster's Camana Bay in the Foster's Fine section, aisle 8.
All this at Foster's?
Yep. With new specialty items each month, you can even visit fosters.ky/finds to discover something new.
Trade ya.
Foster's. Better selection because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm April Cummings. Health and Wellness Minister, the Honorable Sabrina Turner, says government remains committed to strengthening mental health services. At this weekend's Mental Health Symposium by the Alex Panton Foundation, the minister provided an update on the long-term mental health care facility.
Some of the key works remaining for completion of the facility includes the permanent power connection, the IT data infrastructure, and road works. The facility's project management team advised that once power connection occurs, completion of the building works is expected within approximately 6 to 8 weeks thereafter.
The minister says recruitment is underway for the senior management team, who will create and implement the facility's operational plans and determine therapeutic programming. Mrs. Turner also revealed another big project aimed at providing access to the healing power of nature, confirming government has purchased oceanfront property.
Everybody know the site where Mariners Cove used to sit at? Congratulations. We now own that, and it will be earmarked as Prospect Wellness Park. We're on the water, it's calming for all of the islands to use. Now, this is an important, tangible step towards enhancing the wellness of our people of all ages, and can only lead and lend positively to mental well-being for everyone. The ministry will keep the public appraised and engage as plans are to develop of this property.
Health and Wellness Minister, the Honorable Sabrina Turner, speaking at the Alex Panton Foundation Mental Health Symposium on Saturday. Outgoing Governor Martin Roper, meantime, says it is time to break the taboo of speaking openly about mental health.
It is essential that we address this subject head-on if we are to make any progress in changing the face of mental health, especially here in Cayman, where there is still a stigma about openly discussing our own mental health.
His Excellency's opening remarks at the Mental Health Symposium highlighted concerns in particular about sexual abuse and our children.
These are difficult issues, these are sensitive issues, but unless, as a community, everybody does more to speak up about them, we will not make the progress that we want to make. And the emotional and psychological effects of mental health and trauma in particular from those issues that I have highlighted can be devastating and long-lasting, particularly to young people who are still developing their sense of self and identity.
Mr. Roper expressed appreciation for the work of the Alex Panton Foundation in helping to increase dialogue by providing safe spaces where our youth can feel heard and understood. That is your latest local news. Now to the BBC for the latest making headlines around the world. I'm April Cummings.
BBC News with Emily Thomas.
President Biden has said Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine is failing, while on a surprise visit to Kyiv days ahead of the first anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. Speaking alongside President Zelensky, the American leader said Mr. Putin had been plain wrong to think Russia could outlast Ukraine and its allies. Mr. Biden has now left Kyiv. Russian emergency services say 6 soldiers died in an explosion in a dugout just across the border with Ukraine. They said a fire detonated ammunition stored in the dugout. The EU's foreign policy chief has warned China that providing military assistance to Russia's war effort would be a red line. Josep Borrell said he'd raised concerns over the issue with China's top foreign policy official. The Israeli parliament is due to hold a first reading of a judicial reform bill promoted by the far-right-backed government. The planned legislation has led to massive protests. The Rwandan-backed M23 rebels appear to have launched an offensive in North Kivu province in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Local media say the offensive followed the arrival of Rwandan reinforcements. The Indian Ocean island nation of Mauritius has grounded flights as a cyclone approaches. It's also expected to hit Madagascar. Taiwan says it's no longer necessary for people to wear masks indoors as part of an easing of strict COVID rules introduced 3 years ago. However, face coverings will still be required on public transport. A vast trove of Cambodia's Angkorian crown jewellery, some dating back to the 7th century, has been flown back to Phnom Penh after it resurfaced in London. The stolen items were returned to Cambodia by the family of a known antiquity smuggler. Experts say they've never seen most of the jewellery before. World News from the BBC.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
It's time to update your information. If you've recently changed your mailing address, phone number, or email address, please let your Water Authority customer service team know. Remember, non-receipt of a bill does not constitute a release from liability for payment. Visit our website, www.waterauthority.ky, to download and fill out our customer information update form. Or you can contact our customer service team at info@waterauthority.ky or call 949-2837.
We need to talk. Okay. We've noticed you've been going to KFC a lot more than usual lately. And
that's fine. We know you love it.
We just don't understand how you can afford it.
The KFC What a Deal menu, starting at just $3.50, gives you lots of great choices and value. Available at KFC Baytown Plaza, Shudden Road, and in the Strand. The KFC What a Deal value menu, the deal everyone should know about. Come to KFC and enjoy a variety of tasty choices at surprising prices.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report, brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Head east on Cove Road. Sharp left on Church Street. Sharper left. No, your other left. Did I say left? Nope, you missed it. Okay, I'm lost.
With money-saving bundling options for home and motor, we're like a GPS that doesn't steer you wrong.
CG Brick K. Good like that.
Let's stop and ask for directions.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 80 degrees. Relative humidity is 79%. The barometric pressure 30.06 inches and rising. The wind is out of the northeast at 11 knots. Overnight low temperature was 75 degrees. Synopsis indicate moderate to fresh winds and seas expected over the next 24 hours in association with a high-pressure system over the western Atlantic Ocean. Radar images show showers in and around the Cayman area moving towards the southwest. Now the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures will be in the mid-80s. Winds will be east to northeast 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Tonight, fair to partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures will fall to the mid-70s tonight. Winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 9:49, low tide this afternoon at 5 minutes past 4, and a high tide again tonight at a minute after 10. The sun will set this evening at 6:26 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:51. And the outlook is calling for moderate winds and seas through Wednesday morning as the high-pressure system lingers over the western Atlantic Ocean.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Brick K, where people come first.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Change your thinking, change your life, inspire others to bring out the leader in you.
By the words of motivational speaker and author Simon Sinek, author of Leaders Eat Last, Why Some Teams Pull Together and Others Don't. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader.
Change your thinking, change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day is back! The 54th Annual Agricultural Show at the Stacey Watler Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley. Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. Raffle tickets are on sale now, and for only $25, you can win $20,000 and so many other prizes. Raffle tickets include general admission to the show. For more information, visit them on Facebook or CaymanAgriculture.com.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at traffic. Steady traffic coming from the east on Crew Road, Linford Pearson Highway, steady but flowing traffic. As we look to Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic is moderate in both directions. Traffic flowing at a good pace on Edward Street and off the Esteli Tibbetts Highway, steady bit flow in traffic towards the roundabout. And from the Battlefield roundabout heading towards Industrial Park area, traffic is moderate. And a moderate flow of traffic as well on North Sound Road in both directions. As we look to Owen Roberts Drive, light to moderate traffic flow. And coming off of Agnes Way, traffic is moderate. If you see any accidents or incidents on Cayman's roads, make sure you give us a call here to Radio Cayman, 949-6990. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock for another traffic report.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist, or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, we have representatives from the Council of Older Persons as well as the representatives from the various districts. We're talking about agriculture. This show is part of the endeavor of the Council of Older Persons to at least have one show per month. And this one is dedicated to agriculture. We have in the studio with us Miss Alice Mako, Mr. Herbert Crawford, and Miss Betty Ebank. So we're going to throw the mic. Before we go to Mr. Crawford, one of our listeners wrote in and said that your guest mentioned on her list fowls from the 1700s, which was part of the island's agriculture, which means that this bird should be protected, not culled. So I really like that one, yes. Mr. Crawford, over to you, sir.
Good morning again. I think that's a good place to start from.
Yes.
Because as a backyard farmer, I have my little chicken coop, and I raise a few chickens. I get my eggs, and it doesn't take a lot for me to take care of those chickens. So I would encourage the positive side of especially older persons. If you can, have a little coop where you can get a few chickens and keep them there. You can get your own eggs, because I know the cost of living is so very high now. For you to go to the supermarket to buy a dozen eggs for $8, for $17, it's just exorbitant. Mm-hmm. And if we can grow our own, I think we're going to not feel the pinch as if we are so dependent on what comes in from overseas. And I can guarantee and tell you that our own locally grown eggs, to me, are far much better than the ones that we import. Mm-hmm. Because when you have your chickens, you can clean them out and you're getting good eggs from that. That's one thing I would encourage. As older persons, many of us may not have the land space that we can utilize to do commercial farming. So we can use pots, and we can plant just about anything. Any vegetable you want to grow, you can grow in pots, and you can reap your own vegetables, whether it be callaloo, cucumber, tomatoes, seasoned pepper, hot pepper, just about anything with a little water in. You can have your own, so you can limit the amount of stuff you purchase from the supermarket, because their prices are very horrendous now. And it doesn't really take a lot. And the more active we as older persons become and remain, it is better for us to be involved in those simple activities. So I would encourage all the older persons listening to us this morning that there are certain things that we can do around the home. I know sometimes the chickens can be a bother, but nevertheless we can give certain things a try to see how we can help ourselves and not be totally dependent upon what we purchase from the supermarkets.
Okay. We are joined by Mr. Dawson Whitaker from East End. Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning, Mr. Whitaker. Welcome to For the Record.
Well, good morning to you too, Jose. Good morning.
It was great seeing you yesterday also, so we were able to converse 2 times in similar amount of days. That is good.
Yeah, it's been years we haven't spoken. Now it's twice in 1 week.
Yep. So we're talking about agriculture, and we know that the district of East End was quite prominent when it came to agriculture, and continues to be that way as well. As a matter of fact, District of East End, District of Northside, those two districts probably have the most arable land in the Cayman Islands. As we speak, of course, we're starting to see the investment and the quote-unquote, what do they call it, modernizations creeping in to the district. So we're not sure how long we will be able to maintain that. But tell us a little bit about the history of agriculture in East End and your family's involvement, sir.
Well, you might know my father, Orrett. He was one of the biggest farmers up in East End District. He used to sell hundreds and thousands of pounds of bread kind all over the island, from East End to West Bay. And as a little boy, I started going with him. I had to walk from where my house is now on the highway, where they call our Little Bluff. And we would go up there, spend some time the weekend just on the farm. Then we come home with a boatload of food and spread it over the island. And there was a few more like that, Dolan and Torley and Old Man Scotty. Used to try and push it together and always help each other on the farm. It don't happen these days. Nobody help the other one. But, that's how we used to do it. As a little boy, I was a cook for them.
So about how many days you would spend in the land before you came back out?
Well, we were just going to spend the weekend.
Just the weekend, okay.
Yeah, I had to go to school. So
okay, yeah.
From 4 o'clock in the morning, you leave home. Saturday morning, you're going to spend all day Saturday and come home Sunday evening.
Okay. Any of the panelists have any questions or comments for Mr. Dawson? Miss Alice?
Thank you, Mr. Dawson, for calling in. And I'm so glad that Mr. McFarlane tracked you down. But I know he keeps his finger on the pulse of East End for the sake of the older persons in particular. Because his dad, I must mention this, Mr. Frank is an amazing 90-odd years old. And unfortunately, he's not been well recently. But we know that he's still in good spirits. And Mac, thank you for taking care of him. Mr. Whitaker, you were speaking about your agriculture. I remember in the old days, if somebody had grounds, we had our grounds with our bread kind, cassava and all those different things, and somebody got fish, a fisherman went, we would barter. We could get a couple of fish from the fisherman, and then give them a supply of good fresh produce. So people worked together in harmony there, and it was amazing because we didn't have the shops to go to and buy whatever we needed. But we've all become a little bit, should I say, spoiled or dependent on getting everything ready-made. And it does take labor, strength, and the sun can be hot, but it's not impossible for us to get back to helping to provide for ourselves and neighbours and others a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables. And I thank you for all that you've done, and I know you continue to do so, don't you?
Yes. Well, I don't farm out now. I just farm around the yard. I have plantain and bottlers and pumpkins and watermelons and tomatoes and different things right in the yard.
Right, but backyard garden we can all have, and as Mr. Crawford said, you know, if you don't have the soil to go put it in, have a nice big pot. You can get pots of various sizes, and you might even think about getting grow boxes, and you can plant there, and it's easier to take care of than having to be out pulling the weeds out in the hot sun. Who knows?
Yep.
There's potential. Yep. There is potential, and anything worth having is worth working for, and that's why we need to encourage not just the older persons, but the younger persons. I mean, as Mr. Crawford also said, encourage our young persons to get involved from a young age. They can plant, they can pull a weed and water their gardens and see things grow, and think how much healthier these items are for us than what we wait to come on the boat. And we don't know what has been their diet, what has gone into the fertilizing of it, and the nutritional value is certainly not as high as it can be, and that's why we should try to do as much as we can for ourselves. Fresh eggs or fresh chickens, but get a coop. You know, let's all have our chicken coop, and we can take care of our chickens rather than having them run wild, which is what is causing a problem now. Because as we know, if you're trying to grow something, along comes a few chickens, and they can dig up everything that has popped above the ground, and that's very disheartening and makes the chickens then become a pest as opposed to a source of food if we take care of them.
Now, Mr. Whitaker, we hear most East Enders talk about Little Bluff. What was unique about Little Bluff that everyone did their farming there?
Water in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like them older people, they had certain areas for their plantains and certain places for their yam and the cassava. I know it was rocky.
Yeah.
You had good big open areas that they could plant potatoes and different things throughout the rocks. And for some reason, the rock would keep it cool from the dew from the night.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that was mostly all the older folks were up in Little Bluff and Bluff Bay.
Okay.
Mostly Little Bluff.
And when you went for the weekend, did you build huts in the area to stay in?
My father was the first man I had a two-story house up there. Yeah, we sleep up top and cook down below.
Mm.
That's how he had his little hut built.
Talking about huts, my dad, I remember he and Captain Mac Sherry Banks, they used to farm up Mashaw's, up the area.
Mashaw, yes.
North Sound.
Yeah.
And he had a nice little cottage there. Mm-hmm. I remember, of course, the beds were sort of 1 by 12 planks nailed onto the wall. But it was quite an exciting time to go up in the catboat in the evenings and spend the night there. And then in the morning you get up and haul off the grounds.
Yeah,
it was great. And that little house was as strong as it could be. A lot of it was made from driftwood, because in those days we'd have lumber floating in left, right, and centre, and it was really terrific. So.
Also, my dad told me about his grandfather, who used to farm, go in the catboat all the way from Westby across the Sound to North Side in the Bowsers area, and they had quite a bit of land up there, and they used to go for weeks And I know Daddy also continued that. When I was a little girl, he used to have a gentleman go up there like for 2 weeks at a time. And, you know, the produce was wonderful that was brought back down to West Bay. Yes.
So, Mr. Whitaker, you would say that practically the almost every family in East End was engaged in farming? Can you call some of the prominent the names of prominent persons who were engaged in farming in East End?
Well, them old days was a guy named Edison Scott.
Mm-hmm.
That was my father's right hand. They used to farm together. An old man named Dolan McLaughlin was Mr. Taller McLaughlin. It was Light McLaughlin.
Mm-hmm.
All them older guys. And they all used to help each other one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Whitaker, Herbert Crawford here. I spent 2 years living in East End back in 1975 to 77. And I call him Uncle Tally quite well. He really did a lot of farming. I was the principal at the primary school there at the time, and he went as far as making a ground for me. And I used to go with him to his ground. I cannot recall a time when I had to go to the shop to buy any food provision because he would always, have something to give me. And not to speak about the fish that I got there. Everything was for free. Now, you mentioned back in those days, people would share and, nobody would have to ask for anything. I wish those days could probably come back. Because nowadays, if you don't pay for it, you can't get it.
That's for sure, and double too.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, Mr. Whitaker, we know that, you can't spend too much time with us, but we want to thank you for engaging. You have a great day. Please stay safe. And, it was great talking with you.
Well, thank you, too, for letting me involve into it.
Okay.
And, of course, my father and myself is two first cousins.
Yes.
Frank is my uncle.
Yes. Okay, sir. You have a great day.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Folks, we do have a caller on hold, but we have to take a commercial break first, so we're going to take that caller, and then we're going to have Miss Betty share with us, some of the West Bay exploits when it came to farming. And, of course, you heard her speak just now about, going by catboat from West Bay to North Side as well. So she has a lot to share with us. We're going to take a commercial break, take the caller, and then go to Miss Betty. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
The Department of Agriculture would like to inform the community of the holiday closure hours for the plant nursery, sales office, and abattoir starting from the 20th of February in preparation of the upcoming Agriculture Show on Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. All offices will be closed on Ash Wednesday. For more information, visit doa.gov.ky or their Facebook or Instagram page at Agriculture Cayman.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In collaboration with the Council for Older Persons, we're talking about agriculture in the Cayman Islands, past and present, this morning. So we have a panel in the studio in the person of Miss Alice Mako, Mr. Herbert Crawford, and Miss Betty Ebanks. We do have a caller on hold. We're going to grab that caller now. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you, Doc?
Very good, and good morning to your guests.
Good morning, Dr. Steve.
I would just like to take up, you were asking about when did the change came from agricultural to importing food. If you look at what Miss Alice May said, at one time we were exporting tons and tons of cotton. That cotton was going all the way up to Norway and Denmark, Sweden. The boats were going up there. We were going up to Boston, New York, Baltimore. And that changed. And that changed because the cotton that they brought to America, the seeds that they started to germinate in America, was better quality than the cotton that we could produce in Cayman. And that led to not importing any more cotton from Cayman Islands, and the cotton plantations then went. And of course, after slavery, a lot of the slaves left and went to the great exodus to the Bay Islands, which was the British territory. So, factor number one, when Cayman started to move from a laboring society to a exporting men for skills overseas in the 1950s, that is probably when agricultural went down the hill. A lot of the men who did the laboring, the running the barbed wire fence, digging the post holes, digging the yam holes and stuff, a lot of those men from 16 years old went off to sea. And remember now that there was no lot of income in planting. It was a barter between the lower classes, and the merchants did not make a lot of money off the plantations of the grounds that we had. It was barter between. It was a second economy sort of thing. And then that was one factor. The second factor is when the men left, there was no one to till the fields, agricultural field. There were a few people up in East End and Borden Town, and then came on back tilling the fields and supplying agricultural goods. And then the merchants then saw that the money was coming into the country. The country was changing. People would start to build lumber houses instead of living in thatch houses, and then people start living in cement houses instead of living in board houses. And the merchants then got into the business, and they started to import. It was cheaper to import Irish potatoes and all of those things from abroad than having them plant here and waiting for them to grow. They could get them instantly. Every shipment come in with sacks of Irish potatoes, and of course the people had money to buy those things. And so the merchants then took over, and then the merchants then started this rumor, this false rumor that Cayman was not good for planting anything, and then Cayman believed that, and then they sort of gave up the land, and then they start importing things. Remember now, some of the first importing was places like Scotty, Miss Iris, and all them start bringing things, and then things come from Cuba with the Gravina, start bringing sacks of provisions from Cuba, from Isle Pines, and then things start coming on the Star from Honduras and stuff and things like that. And then Cayman, nearly all the producing Cayman, bananas and plantains and all that start being imported from abroad.
Now, Doc, did the increase in the population have anything to do with it in terms of whether or not what we produced locally could, suffice for the entire population? Did a population increase have anything to do with it?
The increase, yes, that had a lot to do. Remember now, in the 1940s and 50s, when we started to get our first tourists, and of course, we didn't acclimatize them to eating the local food. we thought that the local food was not good enough, and then we had to import food for them to eat. And so the increased population had to do with that too. So there was all of this great change, like the great change that's happening now. That happened there, like the lady said there, the change in some 1700s. The change that came in the 1940s and 50s, and then the change that's happening now in the 1990s and in 1920s. There's a change happening, I would say, every generation, where we're going from one factor to the other. The change now is the large supermarkets. Everything is imported. There are a few people keeping backyard gardens. My grandfather had a backyard garden too, because we're all cricket square, which belonged to us. That's where we planted everything: tomatoes, turnips, cabbage, lettuce, everything. I had to go there every evening to water the plants because we had a well. Everything. And remember, and along with that also was the beef, the meat, the eating of meat. We didn't eat meat until Christmas time. Maybe around Easter time, they might kill a Lemuel, Hamilton Miles might kill a cow, or Mr. Mellot and them in the market might kill a cow, but it was turtle and fish and stuff like Mr. Alice said. We had those in abundance. And all of a sudden, supermarkets then started bringing cuts of pork chops and steak and all that kind of stuff, and we left those traditional foods and we went for the imported foods.
Now, what about, Doc, also the exposure? Caymanians, we know a lot of Caymanians went off to live in the States, Tampa, when their relatives would come back, home from Tampa and about there, while they relished the local foods as well. I'm sure that they got accustomed to the American types of food, and that would have encouraged it. As a matter of fact, some of them, well, I don't know about those days, but I know now, even though when some people go to Miami, they carry the cooler with them and they bring their meats and stuff like that back as well.
If I'm not talking out of turn, I think that's how Jake Scott started, by people bringing back cuts of food, cuts of meats, and started like that, and then they got accustomed to all this American food, and then they start bringing this food, importing it. And of course, we are a people who, for some historical reasons, believe that if it's from someplace else, it's better than ours. That is one of the chinks in our social and economic armor. That if it comes from abroad, it's better than. And that, I'll tell you this little story, then I go.
Okay.
Then I go. Mr. Logan had a sister, and she was going to his store every day looking for something to food. And Mr. Logan had all these beans that he had grown out of his ground. And she said, "Mr. Logan, I'm not taking those old beans. I'm okay, man. Beans they ain't no good." So Mr. Logan put them in a bag. They made in Tampa. And the next day she came back. He said, "Well, I got some beans here. And I got some beans here from they look like they come from Tampa. They probably came in yesterday." So she bought some of them, and she went home and she cooked them beans, and she came back. She bought nearly every bean Mr. Logan had to cook because it was in the bags they made from Tampa. Okay?
Doc, thank you. Thank you.
So those are some of the factors. Those are some of the changes there. I wish that someone could write the agricultural history of Cayman. And the first agricultural show was behind the library.
Yes.
Before we moved to the high school, and then up from the high school, it went to the it went to the cricket ground.
We mentioned some of that already, from the Trade Winds newspaper as well. Doc, want to thank you. Thank you very much for that. We were going to go to Miss Betty after, but we still have another caller on hold, so we're going to take that caller before we go to the commercial break. Unfortunately, we're going to be going to the commercial break in about 3 minutes, so this caller will have about 3 minutes to converse with us. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hi, good morning, O.C., and good morning to your panel, Miss Alice May and Miss Betty and Mr. Crawford.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Calling from West Bay.
Okay.
I just want to say that my dad, Joseph E. Banks, he used to have a big ground in our backyard. It's an acre or so, and he used to grow everything. And when the stores, the big supermarkets, started opening up, he used to sell his produce to them. But we used to tell him that he used to give away more than he sold, because every neighbor everybody that came in the vicinity, sometimes they would be driving through on the weekend and stuff. He was offering, giving. So we, I guess that's why we are how we are, because our parents were so giving to everybody. But, so today I tried to do a little bit of backyard farming. So I qualify as a backyard farmer.
Great.
And, and try to, and I do the same thing. I carry some to my office, give away. Anytime I have a function at my place, I'll tell people, anything you see that you want, just grab it up.
Excellent.
And, in the backyard.
Okay. Now, have you had any challenge? What sort of challenges have you experienced, if any, with backyard farming, or what can you say that the government could assist you with to help you along?
Well, last year or the year before, when the government was doing, I think they gave us a little card that we could go buy the agricultural thing, and we could buy topsoil, some fertilizer, those things to help with your plants. So
they did. Great.
That was excellent, and I think they should continue with that program to help the backyard farmers.
Okay.
Because it's all needed.
Yep. Okay.
So I love your topic.
Thank you.
The other thing I want to say is that I've extended, and today is the deadline for the baby show.
Okay, yes.
929-9932. Call me today before 12.
Okay. I'll keep pushing that for you as well, the baby show. Like I said before, there's some prominent political names that were in baby shows in the 60s as well, but I wouldn't embarrass anyone by calling their names. But the baby show was very, very popular in those days. And of course, you were a boy, but you had no choice. You really didn't have any say in whether or not you were going to enter that show or not. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we're going to hear from Miss Betty Ebanks. We just heard about from one bear in terms of agriculture in that district, and we're going to hear from Ms. Betty Ebanks as soon as we return. So if you're planning on calling in, don't call in at this point in time. Wait until the other side of the 8 o'clock, the 9 o'clock hour to call in as well. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Are you feeling sick but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough, and sore throat to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day is back. The 54th Annual Agricultural Show at the Stacey Watler Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley. Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. Raffle tickets are on sale now. And for only $25, you can win $20,000 and so many other prizes. Raffle tickets include general admission to the show. For more information, visit them on Facebook or CaymanAgriculture.com.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Miss Betty has stepped out for a minute, so I'm going to throw the mic back over to Mr. Crawford. You were talking, about the taste for foreign goods, fruit or produce or whatever. Of course, in my day, we look forward to the grapes and the apples and Christmas time. Someone, who's it mentioned, Dr. McPhail mentioned, people like Scotty. I remember BU, but he used to be more in the dry goods. BU was a Cuban as well. Then later on, you had persons like Miss Iris Faulkner, who imported stuff into the Cayman Islands. But Mr. Crawford, you were talking about predial larceny in the Cayman Islands, a big thing in Jamaica as well. We have some on bicycles here, especially in town. They refer to the hitters who they ride around on their bicycles with the crutch stick. They don't own a piece of land, but they always have fruits that they're able to sell. So if you could talk a little bit about that.
I just wanted to comment on something Dr. McPhail said about our taste for foreign goods. And I was making a distinction between the plantains that we produce as farmers here in Cayman as against what is imported. Our plantains is of a much better quality than what we import. If you ever purchase a meal from our restaurant and it's not local plantain, you can tell, because that piece of plantain they put in your meal is going to be hard
as rock,
and you can't eat it. I was also saying, as a farmer, unfortunately, one of the things that farmers are experiencing now are the new group of farmers. I call them predial farmers. They are preying upon other farmers who have to work so hard, who have to employ persons to attend to their crops. So one area in which farmers suffer a lot, if you have a coconut tree, these people come prepared. And they are telling you that the owner, which you could be the owner,
has given them permission.
And I am making an appeal to the public that as farmers, we try our best. And farming is not easy. It's a tough job. It's costly also. And we need to protect our farmers more in what we produce, because we are meeting the needs of the local market. And therefore, if others who choose not to work but to come and help themselves, I think if they're caught, the law should really deal with them.
Certainly. So, Miss Betty, we're going to come over to you. I may have to interrupt you for the headline news at 9 o'clock, but I'll give you that cue, when we're going to go there as well. Let's talk about West Bay a little bit.
Okay. First of all, when I was speaking earlier, I should have said the name of my father, Arthur Harris Banks.
Yes. Mr. Arthur, we refer to
Mr. Arthur, yeah, it was customs man.
Yes.
Okay, but I wanted to speak a little bit about Mr. Johnny Bothwell, because I think he would have been called West Bay's most prominent farmer in the days that people are looking at nowadays. He started bringing in some technology and all like that. So about 4 years after he came home from sea, he decided, or he saw the need for a meat market, right? But in preparation for that, he went to Toledo, Ohio on a government-sponsored trip. And with the information he gathered, he opened up Bothwell's Meat Market then in Georgetown. Now, the market also sold imported beef and other meats and eggs, etc., in addition to meat from his own herd, because at that point he did have a small herd as well.
And I believe that shop was in the Bodmer building?
Yeah, I think that's where it was.
Captain Theo's building, Bodmer
Correct.
building, yes.
This included delivery sales to the local hotels, and earlier we were talking about the tourists coming in and all like that. In those days, Mr. Johnny had a herd of 100 and slaughtered about 15,000 pounds each year. I got this information from the 1981 Nor'wester.
Okay.
I must be honest, as well as his son Brian Bothwell, and his other son would have been Harrison, I think.
Yes.
Most people would know who I'm talking about now.
Captain Harrison Bothwell.
Partial success of the quality of the cattle he raised can be attributed to the fact that he took the advice of a advisor who came down through the government from the UK and who advised that he should rock plough his acreage at Bottomanu so that the water from the shallow water table there would irrigate the pastures. And I think Mr. Whitaker spoke about the water table, the borderlands in East End as well. So it's very important.
Little Bluff, yes.
Yes. Okay. And he also supplemented that with piped sprinkler systems using gas-powered pumps. I didn't realize all this, I'll tell you the truth, because, you know, we don't know what goes on a lot of the time. So that's why I'm talking about this today. Now, after 7 years, he sold a meat market to his niece Jeanette and her husband Frankie Thompson, and then it was turned into Thompson's Meat Market, right?
And then eventually ended up on Mary Street.
That's right. Being a man of vision around 1967, Mr. Johnny's second business then was the Cayman Poultry Farm, which produced a steady supply of eggs for local consumption. Of course, this also provided fertilizer for his pastures, right? As well as he was using a tractor-drawn large manure spreader. 9 years later, he sold the farm, at which time he had 12,000 birds and supplied 95% of the local market. The reason he gave when he sold the farm after 9 years was it was too much work, so he decided to retire. Of course, his retirement was short-lived because he was farmer at heart, right? So in 1977, he began farming with Lacatan bananas, having imported the planting stock from Honduras. This venture was very successful, and his customers were all the stores and supermarkets on Grand Cayman, plus a wholesaler who distributed to outlets on the Bragg. To achieve this success, he decreased the size of his herd to 35 only, and turned a number of the pastures into a plantation, as it was recognized that the production of the bananas was more profitable. Well, Mr. Bothwell, who had imported a number of the breeds of hardier, higher-yielding cattle that became popular in Cayman, also took a course in artificial insemination. I think a lot of people are aware of that, in Florida. And he did his own breeding of his cattle, in addition to those of other farmers, by bringing the semen in from Florida. He then also had a huge fruit orchard with citrus, avocados, papaya, and mangoes. And Mr. Johnny also brought in new breeds of mangoes and avocados so that they could ripen at different times of the year, and did all of the grafting of the fruit trees himself.
Wow.
Now, we were talking about cost earlier. In the article, Mr. Bothwell is quoted as saying, "People could make a lot of money from fruit on this island. There's a big demand, with more tourists coming every year, and the hotels would be glad of the supply." He also added, most Caymanians don't believe in farming commercially. They think it can't be a success, but this is not so. And I believe those words would still ring true today, you know. Finally then, as a token of appreciation for his contribution to farming in Cayman, when the Agriculture Department moved to its present venue, the administrative building was named after him, which was a fitting tribute to someone who did so much to promote agriculture in Cayman in the early days. And I mean, he went into the technical side, I think, like nobody else. I think he was a start of really farming commercially, you know. Now in West Bay, Zita May called in just now talking about her daddy, Mr. Joseph. There were a number of other backyard farmers that I'm aware of. And the ones I'm most familiar with was Mr. Halley Ebanks, Mr. Carlton Ebanks. That would be Nurse Alice Jean's grandfather.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was on Elizabeth Street. Mr. Osborne Barnett. You all know the Barnetts in West Bay. And Mrs. Ida Ebanks and her daughter Stella was also on Elizabeth Street. Additionally, some of these farmers would farm plots of land from other property owners, and they would go like in areas of Bosun Bay, I think, which was a familiar place as well for farming. There was also Mr. Clifton Ebanks and his wife Rosina, who made coconut oil, which people came to them from all over the island.
I can imagine, yes.
Yeah, and at least one of their daughters still continues making that product. Of course, I'm sure people could call in and identify a lot more, but they're the ones that I'm most familiar with.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for that as well. And I'm searching here to find some of the, on one of the agriculture show, the list of some of the winners of the prizes as well. And I know, Miss Betty, you have brought your your ribbons with you as well, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Folks, we've reached the top of the hour. Headline news. When we return, the conversation will continue, so don't change that dial. Please stay tuned.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman. We've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
Government has plans to convert the site of the old Mariners Cove condos in Prospect into a wellness park. That, according to Health and Wellness Minister, the Honourable Sabrina Turner, at Saturday's Alex Panton Foundation Mental Health Symposium. Mrs. Turner says the waterfront property is an important, tangible step toward enhancing the wellness of our people of all ages, which she says can only support mental well-being for everyone. In international headlines, U.S. President Joe Biden paid an unannounced visit to Ukraine today to meet with President Vladimir Zelensky in a defiant display of Western solidarity with a country still fighting what he called a brutal and unjust war, days before the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion. Biden spent more than 5 hours in the Ukrainian capital, consulting with Zelensky on next steps, honoring the country's fallen soldiers, and meeting with U.S. embassy staff in the war-torn country. The governments of more than 30 nations released a letter today calling on the International Olympic Committee to clarify the definition of neutrality as it seeks a way to allow athletes from Russia and Belarus back into international sports and ultimately next year's Paris Olympics. Associated Press says among those signing the letter, officials from the U.S., Britain, France, Canada, and Germany. Those 5 countries brought nearly 1/5 of all athletes to the Tokyo Games in 2021.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The Headline News are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're still trying to reach someone in the BRAC. In the meantime, I just wanted to go back to our Tradewinds newspaper, and this was the issue of the 3rd of March, 1966. And it says, following are some of the prize winners at the annual agricultural fair held at the grounds of the Secondary Grammar School on February the 23rd. And they had them in categories. For instance, you had vegetables and fruits. You had persons, Ms. Betty, you mentioned him before, for the arrowroot. Mr. Osborne Barnett won for the arrowroot. For avocados, Mr. A.L. Thompson, South Sound, Ms. Rose Dean Jackson, Savannah, Mr. Nolan Smith, North Side. For beans, for cabbage, Mr. Oliver Coe, that would be, for those of you who don't know, Oliver Coe would have been Pingy. We call him Pingy. He used to be involved in the spraying with mosquito research. Mr. Bertram Ebanks, North Side, Mr. A.L. Thompson again. For carrots and cassava, A.L. Thompson, Mr. Bertram Ebanks, Mr. Osborne Barnett, Ms. Rose Dean Jackson, Nolan Smith. So, we had so many repeats. Then they included straw work in our agriculture show as well, because that was a part of it. Miss Florence Tatum, Miss Mary Christian, as well. George Ebanks for yard broom. Then we had the horticulture also. Then they even had the Cayman beautification campaign. You got the districts one for that. They had a dog show, and then there were other awards like for parrots. Well, you might get in trouble these days if you don't have it. If you don't have your parrot registered and you expose them to the public, you get in trouble those days. And of course, they had the beauty contest as well. We're going to talk a little bit about the BRAC now. It is our pleasure to have. It's our pleasure to have on the phone with us Miss Anna Rose Scott, and she's also a member of the council. I'm going to have you introduce her, Miss.
Right, Miss Anna Rose Scott. Thank you, Miss Anna Rose, for being available. She is the Older Persons Council representative for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Thank you so much. I know you have quite a bit that you can share about your own personal farming, and perhaps you gathered more information than what we had even spoken about. So the floor is yours, Miss Anna Rose.
Okay, and we realize that Miss Anna Rose has to catch a flight, so we want to give her, once you have the mic, Miss Anna Rose, you take it whatever direction that you want to take it as well. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Great. Now, before they call my flight, I must share that I am, back in the day, from a big extended family. My grandfather, Andrew McFarlane, was a Jamaican, and he was, a great farmer. And most of that farming was done on the bluff. You had to walk up on the side of the bluff and all the way over to his plantation, where he, he grew cassava, yam, sweet potato, and all of us children, we went to, had to go up there and help him till the ground for all of these different agriculture items. And he also was a cattle, raiser of mostly cows. And I fondly recall, during the primary days, and also when there wasn't much rainfall, all of the children had to climb the bluff and bring the cattle down the bluff and take it to our house for watering and back up again. After, this was done after school, but we so enjoyed doing that. In the latter years now, with myself married into the Scott family in West End, my husband, Olin Scott Jr., and his father also did cultivation on the bluff, so I was involved there. But during those days, we, they had the roads where, cars could just drive to your grounds, which was very much more appreciative. So that's mostly what my involvement with until You know, in latter years also we did cultivation in our backyard, and it was encouraged greatly by the Minister of Agriculture with, you know, the little perks of soil and fertilizer and pest control. So a lot of Brackers now do backyard farming.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the great cultivators have passed on, like some of you might know, Mr. Mercherito, Chantelope. But there's another person that does a lot of farming now too, is Elvis McKeever.
Yeah, we hope to hear from him this morning.
So I don't know if he will be calling in. I hope so.
And there's a young man by the name of, I think his first name is James, who's involved in farming as well. He used to be a fireman at one time.
James?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure about that one. Yeah, but cultivation is very much, you know, ongoing in the Brac. Not as much commercially, but for your own personal consumption. And it's done mainly on the bluff because that's where most of the good soil, you know, the red mole and whatnot
is.
Is.
Yeah. Now, Miss Anna Rose, I remember Miss Erica Scott and the Nicholsons, and then my mother, Myrtle Connor, was friends with them. And every time either the Mercor or the Kirk Trader, whichever boat came from Cayman Brac, they would bring produce with them. Send or at least send it down, and my mother would send you know, things like rice and beans and you know, other staples that were imported, you know, share with them. So at one point in time, the Brac was even supporting and supplying Grand Cayman with produce as well.
Oh, definitely, and that was one of the things, you know, Mr. Mercherito did back in the day, but I don't see much of that happening now. And like I say, it's mainly for personal consumption, or it's sold within the island. Not so much Grand Cayman now.
Okay. Anything you want to tell us before you hop onto that flight?
I think I've shared just about all there is, except like I said before, you know, most of our cultivators now are, as you know, Cayman Brac is an aging community. So a lot of our great cultivators, if they haven't passed on, they're not you know, able to continue the farming because it's a tedious job. It's very hard work. But yeah, I would encourage Brackers to, you know, still do it, whether it's backyard farming or what. I do know that we're looking forward to the agriculture show coming up, because we've been without that now for about 2 years because of COVID. But it's being held in the Brac next month in March. I will be coming back down on Wednesday for the one over here.
Yes.
I always love to look at the plants and the flowering plants, not only the cassavas and whatnot. So, yeah, that's about it from me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Anna Rose.
Okay.
Safe flights, and
me.
it is so good that you were able to call in and to share on behalf of the Brac. We know there are a lot of other people there, or a number of other people there, whom we hope will be calling in to share their knowledge and experience. But who knows?
Certainly. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Anna Rose. We're going to try to grab one of those callers now before we go to our commercial break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. O.C. Good morning to your guest. I didn't catch everybody. And I can.
That's okay. That's okay. They're all hearing you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I guess when I was in, I'm who I am. I'm from Westby. She was Joyce was on there earlier talking about the things that that were being taken place. She did mention my grandparents, Miss Rosina and Mr. Clifton. As part of they were doing coconut oil up until late 70s, almost 80. My grandmother was doing up until 84. She's now bedridden, but she has her daughter, her oldest daughter and her youngest son now makes coconut oil. Supplies a great portion of the island comes from all over, because I have to actually sometimes go out and help them locate coconuts and things like that and deliver oil up back and forth for people. So, Cayman had so much to offer. We look like we're getting less, but I don't know. At one time I was told in the older days we used to also export cotton. I don't know, we got so much cotton trees around the place. Well, what I've been doing with my grand ones is I used to go out there and make them pick the cotton off the tree and put it in plastic bags, for home use and everything. But one of the clinic, I was calling them and they told me that if I can buy off some cotton, they will buy it from the children. So I guess, that would encourage them, to do that one and, get other ones involved in, down the road, maybe, because you got so much cotton all over the place that it's still, I know they tear down a lot of the trees, but let's hope that they would realize how valuable it is. Okay?
Certainly.
And we also have we got Mr. Tuna Powell in Westby, which also does
yes.
a bit of farming and supplies to the island.
Mm-hmm.
We want to thank all those that keep us in supply, and maybe one of these days you might get enough that we can export to somebody else.
Yep. Thank you.
Never know what God got for us, so we just must keep saying.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Folks, we have to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day is back. The 54th annual agricultural show at the Stacey Watler Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley. Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. Raffle tickets are on sale now, and for only $25, you can win $20,000 and so many other prizes. Raffle tickets include general admission to the show. For more information, visit them on Facebook or caymanagriculture.com. Start your day in the know. Don't miss a beat. Radio Cayman's 7 a.m. news keeps you informed every Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. Proudly brought to you by Walkers, a reputation for excellence. Learn more about the Walkers Scholarship and Legal Training Program at walkersglobal.com.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record as a part of the series that are produced by the Council of Older Persons. We're talking about agriculture in the Cayman Islands, past and present. And it is quite timely because, of course, we will be having our agricultural show on this coming Wednesday, Ash Wednesday as well. Before we go to the phone lines, one of our listeners has shared with us and pointed out that the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens, that they operate a very small-scale farming project thanks to the owner of Earthworks Farm. He allows the club to keep the grow boxes on his property. Each time there is a harvest, it is shared with the elderly and with some of the care homes as well. The club has also started a grow box project in the eastern districts for seniors. Crops include callaloo, bok choy, peppers, and scallion, amongst others as well. So, again, highlight the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens, and they're doing their part as well. Ms. Susan, we have other callers on hold still. Let's grab 3 callers. Let's grab the callers. I just want to remind everyone that, of course, we're limited to time, so we want to give as many people an opportunity as possible. So just bear in mind that there's someone else waiting behind you to speak as well. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Good morning to you panelists.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Correction. I'll touch Westby first. My grandfather was an avid farmer down there, George E. Banks. He was also one of the first, I would say the first veterinarian, because if something went wrong with the cattle, no matter what time of day it was, they were calling him, even from east and north side. He would go there to assist them with it. On present time, I have 2 brothers that are doing farming, one on a commercial scale and one on a backyard. And trust me, they have produced some stuff. The one that's doing it commercially, he do livestock as well as plants. And he has produced some of the best, tomatoes, cucumbers, watermelons, pumpkins, you name it. And he has goats and cows. So he is, and they're both in the Brac doing it. My youngest brother, he also has a farm here in Cayman. So he is on a pretty much wide scale farming.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that with us as well. Let's grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning.
Good morning. Those old people say your air bell must be ringing.
Yeah, we're listening. And I was thinking to the panel becoming all really interesting. See, I campaigned in the last election, and I know what I said about the farming. Every school should have a grow box, and all like the show coming out, you have a section just where the school compete. And when the school, whichever school win, they get a prize, they get a scholarship. And when the kids sell their stuff, it helps them toward their field trip. It would show them the value of farming. It's not just getting your nails messed up and your hands messed up. But that's coming from Elvis McKeewa. Now, we'll see, in Cayman Brac, I always do this. Anytime that I sell in my food, all the senior citizens, the seamen especially, all of them get a discount from me.
That's great.
I sell it to them on a special price, because I know the value of a seaman. Because my father was out there all his life, and my grandfather's still out there. He got drowned in 1939, so But the farming also they got started in school. It's too much. All the farmers now got gray hair. Gray hair, you know what I mean, right? We got don't stop farming. I mean, I got my farm, but I got somebody that works almost every day. Because I got a lot of trees. Right now I got 15 avocado trees that are blossoming, like 18 mango trees. I got tomatoes, peppers, lime, name it. Right? But like I said, we need to get the younger people into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to ask, now you know I come in South. I want to ask if any of the old people on the panel got any of their friends or family members that are taking the medicinal marijuana. Please talk to the government to let us grow it for you guys. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Elvis. Thank you.
Just comment.
Sure. Yeah.
So Elvis, I just want to let you know that in the agricultural show, there is a section for school exhibits, and those exhibits would come from vegetable critters, healthy lunchbox, floral arrangement, grow box produce, and aquariums. Now, I agree with you that we should encourage schools and farming in our schools. That's where it starts. And we can begin with grow boxes. And I know for sure that both the Agricultural Society as well as the Agricultural Department are more than willing to assist schools that would want to do some grow boxes. So I agree with you. That is where we start. And that's where we should start, and it should be encouraged in all our schools, public as well as private.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Susan. And another caller on hold. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. To all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, I'm calling in regards to the farming, the little bit of history of farming, like in Spot Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty young and considering some of them. I was thinking about it. I said, like Mr. Silas Bodden, his widow just passed, Miss Chipper Bodden.
Okay.
And then you had Miss the Lazarus family, and she just passed. Miss Lazarus used to supply milk, fresh milk to everyone, in that area.
Wow.
And Mr. Silas was into the cattle. But my family, which is Viva Dixon, better known as Mr. TD, we were into cattle, and we're still into cattle. At his passing, we were about one of the largest cattle owners, or my father was, when he passed, which was like over 100 heads of cattle. So we were rubbing shoulders with the farmers in Cayman, as you would say, in size of herd. And we also are known for the quality beef that my brothers and them still produce. So whenever you're in the Brockman store scene, you need some good beef. Find out when the Dixon brothers are butchering.
Okay.
But you have to be by the bench. If not, you won't get any.
And you can't place your order in advance?
You can, but if you're not there,
okay,
you might go empty-handed. And you got some other young guys that are coming into it and have been into it a little while, such as Dwayne McFarlane, which is the grandson or the great-grandson of Mr. McFarlane, who also used to be in cattle.
Okay. Now, do you rely in terms of your stock? Do you do your own breeding? I think the minister was on the show when he was on the show last mentioned the fact that they will be importing more cattle pretty soon as well. Do you rely on that, or do you do your own breeding as well?
Well, my brother managed that part of it, and he's very selective on the breed that he mixes his cattle with. He's very prejudiced in the breed. So because of the quality meat that he wants to produce. So so that's a good idea though. It's needed,
Okay, and how's the land up there in terms of grazing, or do you rely on the
bags of food?
Bags, yeah.
It's a combination of both because of Cayman, especially Spot Bay, doesn't get much rainfall, because of how the island is situated. But it's a combination of both, but mostly on grazing.
Okay.
But you have to subsidize the food sometimes because of the rainfall levels and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us as well. And before we have about a minute or so before we go to the break, so this will give me an opportunity to just mention that the first agricultural officer that we had in the Cayman Islands who was officially in that post, we know that Mr. Ulrich McNamee, was very instrumental, in the introducing the agriculture show and everything. Mr. Vernie Bernard, some of you, if you're from Georgetown and you're as old as I am, we used to call him Massa. Mr. Vernie Bernard was the first agricultural officer, went off to train and to study for that, returned to the Cayman Islands, but unfortunately there was no work for him. Government didn't have a job for him. So for 2 years he went out to sea and then he returned. And he, along with Mr. Joseph Anderson, started a program at the school, which is now Georgetown Primary School, where they started to grow there. Didn't grow boxes as much as, I think they had some grow boxes as well, but actually used the ground. Now, those of you know where Georgetown Primary is. Georgetown Primary was partially built on a swamp or surrounding, a swamp area as well. So the water table would have been pretty high. But, just for all of you history buffs out there, Mr. Vernie Bernard was the first agricultural officer in the Cayman Islands. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we're going to hear more from our panelists because I'm just here to direct traffic, not really, to talk that much. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
She hear clunk and our car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I'm send it straight to her JN money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
It's almost here, the return of the Cayman Islands Agriculture Show, 54 years strong. It's happening this week, Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. Make sure you get your raffle tickets to win $20,000. Visit them on Facebook or CaymanAgriculture.com. Also would like to let motorists know that there's been a vehicle accident in the vicinity of the CNB roundabout, so motorists please approach the area with extra caution.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, we have Miss Alice Mako, Mr. Herbert Crawford, and Miss Betty Ebanks. This program is a collaboration with the Council for Older Persons. We're talking about agriculture then and now in the Cayman Islands, and I'm going to throw the mic back over to them as well. Miss Alice May, over to you.
Yes, thank you, OC. This series of programs that happen on the third Monday of each month, God willing. It's a collaboration between DCFS, Miss Lawyers, we miss you, and the Older Persons Council. working together to pull our older people into what's going on and keep them active and engaged, etc. The lady who spoke about the Lions Club and their grow boxes, thank you so much. Who WhatsApped, I think it was. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that great information. We want more and more people to get involved with the older persons, to encourage them to keep active and get healthy produce, get healthy food, etc. Now, I think Wednesday will be the agricultural show. It's the 54th agricultural show, and that will be a good time for all current and potential farmers to go along to the show and see what kind of plants you can get for yourselves and start your own backyard garden or grow boxes, etc. I'm encouraging our agricultural ministry and others to perhaps go about preparing grow boxes that we can distribute to a few people and get them going, because the elderly in particular, you know, they're not able to always build things for themselves, but it would be good if you could arrange for grow boxes. And I was also thinking of chicken coops. Yeah. Getting some chicken coops, you know. In each little neighborhood, you could have chicken coops, and you'd get those chickens off the porch and digging up your existing plants and clean them out and get your own eggs and fresh chicken, etc.
Okay, Ms. Betty, we're going to come over to you. We know you have some more tidbits to share with us about West Bay.
Oh, yeah. I'm going back now quite a few years, right? Orrett, I don't know if you'll remember this one, but you did mention that the agricultural show was moved up to the high school, right? And I distinctly remember one show there. I don't know how many they had, but they had some floats. Now, you know, they weren't the floats like how we're used to now, right? Yeah. But the Mosquito Research Unit had made this float of a mosquito. And they must have made it out of paper mache. And they had it, you remember the Minimokes?
Yes, yeah.
And they used to use them for fogging, right? So they had that mosquito perched on the, you remember how the Minimoke used to have the frame for the, and then it was the roof as well. Right. Well, they had that mosquito on the roof. And they had his legs, you know, the long legs was reaching the ground. And they had his proboscis, or however you pronounce that. Anyway, what he draws the milk from, the blood from. Yeah, they had that stuck out in the front. And everybody was in awe of this mosquito float. Wow. And I know they would keep going around in circles so that, you know, everybody would be able to see it. And everybody was clapping. And, oh, my goodness, that was a wonderful thing. You know, the show is really a great time for people to get together. Yes. And I'm hoping that that's what's going to happen again this year. Now, I'm going to continue because my daddy, as I said, R3 Banks, he was very active in the Agriculture Society in the early days. And I guess you would have called him the West Bay representative because he used to promote the show in West Bay. He tried to get, especially the ladies who did the thatch work. And I think someone mentioned the thatch work earlier.
Yes, I had the prizes, yeah.
Yeah. For weeks ahead, he would promote the show and get everybody interested. And he would also try to get some people to give items for the district stall, because we used to have judging of the district stall as well. The evening of the show now, so many people would come to our house for Daddy to tag their exhibits so that they would be put in the correct classification, right? For the judging. And he would spend hours doing that in that night before, because early in the day, earlier in the early shows, they never used to have it open in the evening before. So you had to have everything ready that morning and get up there early. So he was up till must have been 12 o'clock in the night tagging all these exhibits. And that was a lot of work. But he was also a farmer in his own right and had a little backyard farm, citrus, avocados, lettuce, and carrots, and all like that. And Daddy also owned a chicken farm in the early 60s, and the whole family had to get involved in that. He had the white leghorn chickens, which were put in the metal cages which hung from the ceilings.
Okay, yeah.
And then the excrement then would fall to the ground, but it was a cement building. It was an enclosed building, right? But with screens all around it. So us 4 girls, we had to help in whatever way we could. We had to pick up the eggs as they fell, like once a day. We would have to do that. We would also have to help him clean that pen once a week. Oh dear. That was not the best job, but he got his 4 girls involved in everything. And life wasn't easy in Cayman then, and my mother, she would have to make everyday dresses out of the chicken feed sacks. And I think of that, but we were proud to wear those chicken feed sack dresses, and actually
and the flour sack as well.
Well, not the flour sack. We only did the chicken
Just the
feed
chicken feed,
sacks because they were beautiful prints. Actually, they had little flowers, and she used to make the sashes for us, to tie the dresses. And they were comfortable, but strong, yeah. And then other people would come if she had excess. Other people would come and get those chicken feed sacks as well. But one last thing I want to call to people's remembrance is they used to have the Miss Farm Queen show at the show, and I don't know if there's anybody out there who might be able to call in and say that they had participated in that or they had won it or whatever, but I know that was a big event. They used to hold it at the ending of the show.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess that's about all that I need to say now.
Okay, we have a few callers still, but Mr. Crawford, anything that you want to add before we go on?
Take after.
So we don't have any callers now, so you can go right ahead, Mr. Crawford.
No,
If I may interject now,
Please.
Betty mentioned about the chicken feed sacks. They're the prettiest little patterns.
Oh, yeah.
Mama Birdie, she had her shop in the corner of Knife and Fork. That's a junction of Villa Farrington Drive and Mount Pleasant Road. That little shop is still there, but it's been remodeled. And whenever the sacks of chicken feed came in, people would come to the store and Miss Bordell, I'd like this one, so she had to make certain she held the sacks for people.
Wow.
And I myself proudly wore some beautiful print chicken feed sack dresses.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Lovely, lovely.
Sorry. It's good to hear where we're coming from in terms of the history of agriculture and how our forefathers and our parents participated and how we existed. And now there is a transition that the older folks are the ones who did most of the work. And today, we as an older persons council would like to encourage our youth, our young people, to become more involved with things agriculture. It's amazing when you go to the agricultural show to see the things that are produced on island. You would never imagine that such things are produced here. The fruits, the vegetables, the thatch work, the woodwork, and everything else that's produced here. And I believe, go back to what Mr. Elvis said, once we commit to start grow boxes in schools, that is where it starts. Now, as a person who is agriculturally minded, there is one fruit that is grown very easily. I see it in the supermarket in December. It was costing $14.99 per pound. The fruit they call the dragon fruit. I don't know how many of you have ever eaten that. How many of you know what the dragon fruit looks like? But it is an emerging fruit on the market. And all you need is just a piece of that vine or cutting, and you put it in a pot, and it doesn't take much care. But between April and November, you are going to get the most beautiful fruits, and they're very nutritional. And that's one of the things that I would encourage. If you can get a piece of a dragon fruit plant, it's one of the fruits that you can get not every month, but at least between April and November. It is very healthy, it is very nutritious, and it is something that doesn't call for a lot of care. You can abuse it, and it will still bear.
Excellent, excellent. We're going to grab our last caller for the show because when we return, we want to do a wrap-up and everything. So let's grab this caller before we go to our commercial break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to you and the panel.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks. Yeah, it's all quite encouraging to hear Miss Alice May and Betty talking about, history in the Cayman Islands, of course. But I can't get it on the air quick enough, shall I say. It's nothing to do exactly with agriculture, but I thought I should sort of ring an alarm bell. I'm looking at Georgetown Dock specifically. Some days you got, 8, 10, 12,000 people entering ashore. Have you ever thought that we should have some kind of a medical unit on the dock with all of those people in case anybody have an emergency issue that they need to be attended to, that you don't have to call an ambulance? Sometimes, if I remember right, my good friend, Mr. George Ebanks Lulu, he died on the dock. Waiting on the ambulance, he died on the dock, whereas if they had a unit there, maybe he might have saved his life. So I just want to say, I hope the authorities that be will think about this thing and get something on that dock, because I see it as a very important issue to have something there, especially when the cruise ships are in, that you can attend anyone that gets sick in. I think it's a real necessity that they should put things together to have this on the dock. So thank you very much, and you guys have a good day. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Folks, we're going to take our last commercial break. The phone lines are now closed because we still have lots to talk about and not enough time. Please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
Are you feeling sick but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy to understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day is back. The 54th annual Agricultural Show at the Stacey Wattle Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley. Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. Raffle tickets are on sale now. And for only $25, you can win $20,000 and so many other prizes. Raffle tickets include general admission to the show. For more information, visit them on Facebook or CaymanAgriculture.com.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Orrett Connor continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It's been a very informative, exciting show this morning. Lots of participation, and unfortunately we had to close off the phone lines a little bit early. But if you a frequent listener to Radio Cayman, you will be getting more and more of this coming from the Council of Elder Persons in collaboration with the ministry and everyone else. And you'll hear more about that from Miss Alice May Coe as well. One of our listeners has written in and said, thanks to you and your panel for a most informative history of agriculture in the Cayman Islands. Many memories were highlighted as well. So I want to thank that listener for those kind comments. Also, before we go, I should have done it on Friday, and I missed it as well. So we want to send out belated happy birthday greetings to Miss Sybil Jackson in the Brack. She celebrated her birthday last Wednesday. And also, right here on Radio Cayman, our own Miss Paulette, whose wedding anniversary was on Wednesday, as well. Miss Paulette Conley. So belated happy wedding anniversary. Miss Sybil Jackson, belated happy birthday to you over in the Brack as well. So we want to give everyone an opportunity for some final comments on anything that they may have missed. We're going to start with Miss Betty, and before that, I'm going to just put Mr. Crawford on alert. And he talked about plantings and the different crops and stuff. I want you to talk a little bit about what you see in agriculture as far as bananas and plantains are concerned, because we see when we end up with storms like a Ian and like a Grace. I mean, the backyard farmers are almost crying when they go outside and they see those suckers just bent all over, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do beside cut them off and wait another possible 9 months unless they have some crops that will bear before them. But I wanted to talk about the suckers and the different breeds that we can transition to these days, as well. So let's start with you, Miss Betty.
Okay, just quickly, I'd like to thank everybody that called in, and thanks for having me here to talk about my memories of the agriculture show. And I just want to say on a positive note, Herbert, that at our church, the John Gray Memorial Church, we have an after-school program, and one of the things that we do with the young people is to get them into growing in a grow box area out at the back of the church. And right now they're growing green onions, callaloo, and eggplant.
Okay.
And we use that in cooking or soup sometimes as well, because we also have a soup kitchen ministry at our church. So some of the children, I think, are being, instructed in getting back into agriculture. So I think it's going to come. We just have to keep trying.
Excellent.
All the best.
Okay. Mr. Herbert.
Okay, it was indeed a pleasure to have been on this show, talking about things agricultural and what pertained in the past. I would like to encourage everyone to grow something around your home. The more we become less dependent on imported things and grow our own, the better it will be for our economy in the long run. Now, as you know, Sister Grace visited us, followed by Brother Ian.
Yes.
Grace specialized in fruit trees. She took down most of our mango trees and our avocado trees and other trees, and Ian decided to visit our bananas and our plantains. Most of us as farmers, we suffered as a result of the strong wind, and for many months we did not have plantains available, so we had to import a lot. We didn't have bananas. Thankfully, crops tend to be resilient, and in a very short time we saw plantains coming back, we saw bananas coming back. One of the surprises I had as a farmer was that I had a bunch of banana which was nearly 6 feet tall.
Wow.
It has over 16 hands on it. I never watered it. I never gave it any fertilizer. That's what I call organic. I didn't want to let the cat out of the bag. I have one bunch for the show, which is similar to the one that I reaped a few months ago. I noticed that many persons are interested in planting things now because the interest level is very high, and because thankfully to the Minister of Agriculture, there has been greater emphasis on agriculture, and with the assistance that farmers received from the ministry during Grace's destruction, not so from Ian, farmers were able to bounce back a bit and have been replanting. One suggestion I have for farmers in terms of plantings, I realize that the dwarf plantings, I call them, are more resilient to the winds. So I would encourage us to plant more of those. The taller ones we can still plant, but they are more susceptible to the winds, and we just have to keep on trying, because I believe strongly that we should set ourselves a target within the next 5 years. We want to be about 70 or 80% less dependent on importing stuff, but we can produce for our own local consumption.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Alice May?
Thank you, OC, for so graciously hosting us here this morning, and many thanks to everybody who called in and contributed such worthwhile information to our show. It went much too quickly, I'm afraid. Much too quickly. While it's good to be open-minded and to appreciate new ideas as to ways of improving our lives that come in from abroad, thank you, everyone who comes here, lives and works amongst us, and contribute constructively to our way of life. However, let us not dismiss or discard the many ways, the excellent practices, in fact, of our older persons and what they had to do to create a harmonious community. Of course, that included agriculture and livestock. So let each of us leave this show today, turn off your radio if you are, and let's make an effort to do at least our backyard gardens. And I'd encourage you all to go to the agricultural show on Wednesday, because they're bound to have some great fruit trees, vegetables, all sorts of wonderful stuff you're going to see there. And of course you'll see the Duchess of Wessex opening it, ringing the cowbell, etc. I gather she's going to be there for that, and the Duke is going elsewhere. So go along there and see if you can begin. Everything starts with the first step, even if it's only a little pepper tree, or if you get a banana sucker or whatever. So let's all do our best to provide food for ourselves and for the elderly, and become a healthier and more age-friendly society. Thanks very much, and God bless.
Thank you very much for that, Ms. Alice May. I'm going to share this article from the Tradewinds newspaper as well. This was published on the 24th of March, 1966. And folks, if you really have the time, please listen to this. There was an expert who came from, his name was Dr. Haig, from the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization. It was here in the Cayman Islands, and he spoke about different things. And on the topic of agriculture, this is what he observed. He says in this address, he reviewed the agricultural history of the Cayman from the time the islands were self-supporting, observing that dependence on agriculture has decreased with the increased prosperity of regular employment of the men at sea. He described Cayman as now being at the crossroads. This is in 1966, right? Folks remember. Described Cayman as being in the crossroads of whether to revive agriculture or copy the Bahamas and be a playground in the sea. In his opinion, The problems here are big, but not proportionately so in comparison with other areas. One of the major ones is clearing and control of bush regeneration. A fairly long dry season and high land prices. You thought land was high in 1966? Look at it today. One of the great advantages that he had found was that the Cayman Islands are as nearly clear of animal disease as any place he has seen in the world. While he couldn't account for it, he noted that in speaking to the medical practitioners in the islands, he found that the same situation pertains with respect to the human populace, where, again, there is an outstanding freedom from disease, despite the fact that Caymanians travel to all corners of the earth, of the world regularly. Dr. Haig strongly recommended rigid controls in the importation of animals to ensure that this disease-free state pertains. One of the problems he has found in Cayman, and folks, again, this is in 1966, and see if it rings true today. One of the problems that he has found in Cayman is the common tick, which apparently is of recent origin and is of a strain normally found in South America and is very resistant to insecticides. Dr. Haig's view, intensive investigation and experiment over the next 3 to 5 years is recommended to improve agricultural production, and he advised Cayman not to be shy in asking for aid from organizations such as the United Nations. In his view, agriculture has a large future here, citing several examples of the prices of meat, milk, and other agricultural produce. In conclusion, Dr. Haig stressed the fact that he and his wife had been made most welcome and had felt completely wanted or loved in the Cayman Islands. But there was a part here that he also spoke about land clearing as well. No, that was an article by Mr. Willowood, who was talking about land clearing in the Cayman Islands and the fact that the airport was being built at that time. We had the machinery here in Cayman. It was at our disposal at that point in time with the airport, and the government should be looking towards building more roads for Caymanians to be able to access their lands for agricultural purposes. Now, folks, there's a drive out there for us to build more roads, but it's not for the reason that Mr. Willowood advocated for in the 1960s. It is now for us to have more cars on the island, to open up the roads, to have more housing developments and everything, nothing to do with agriculture. So getting back to Dr. Steve McField's conversation, where have we reached? How have we reached this point? Folks, my opinion, that crave for the almighty dollar. That crave for that. So with that, folks, I first want to thank our panelists here in the studio. I want to thank the Council for Older Persons, the ministry as well. I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity or even do a grow box, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Drainy Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. No show on Wednesday because it is Ash Wednesday. And we ask the good Lord to bless these 3 beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy. Taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Today's big